Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the newest Oliver Tree album, Alone in a Crowd. This album came out today, September 29th, 2023. This is Oliver Tree's third album, and he's rumoring it to be his last. Now, I actually heard of Oliver Tree for the first time earlier this month. I believe he posted a short for the song Fairweather Friends on his YouTube, and I thought that it was awesome right away. So this review is going to be coming from that perspective, as a perspective of someone who is a new fan and someone who is also making their first album review. So we'll see how this one goes. If you like any kind of content about music, film, or culture, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. So as someone who hasn't listened to a lot of music that's really come out in the last 5 or 10 years, my first instinct when I hear this is that, Oliver Tree reminds me a little bit of like stuff that's come out of the SoundCloud era, which is kind of, what I call it. Reminds me a little bit of like Lil Peep. Not to say that it doesn't have its own distinct characteristics, but it's kind of a newer sound, if you know what I mean. I don't know if hip-hop is like a new direction that Oliver Tree is going in, or if it's something that he's always done, but I really like his rapping voice. I think that it's really cool. Fairweather Friends was the first song that I heard by him, actually. And it's one of the only ones on this album that's a straight up like hip-hop song. But it's definitely one of my favorites, and I would say probably one of the strongest on the album as well. If it was only a little bit longer, I would say that it has perfect single potential, but it might need to be a little bit longer to be a successful single. Not really sure how that works these days. But the first thing you can tell is that this was produced and all of that by someone who knows what they're doing. It sounds absolutely fantastic. It's nice and balanced. You can hear all the instruments. The treble's not too high, the bass isn't too low, and that's something that I feel is really important about modern music, is that it needs to have that balance, especially with all the technology that we have nowadays. I really like the effects on his vocals. I'm not sure how him and his producer work, but I really like that. I thought it sounded nice. I like the way that Oliver Tree sometimes uses like 2 octaves at once. Definitely makes it sound a little more like that Lil Peep kind of modern edge that it has. The lyrics are a lot about love and loss and loneliness, which is kind of interesting in juxtaposition to the sound, which can oftentimes be really upbeat. But I feel like the juxtaposition of the upbeat music and the depressing kind of lyrics, not depressing, but the lyrics that reflect depression and loneliness, that juxtaposition is starting to become a thing. And I think that that's definitely one of the really big defining characteristics of the SoundCloud era, if you will, is those darker, lonely lyrics with the little more upbeat electronic music. I could definitely see how it would relate to someone like, say, my youngest sister, who is a young adult, and the frustrations that people are starting to feel as, they grow into adulthood. It's not the childhood freedom and innocence, and I feel like that's apparent in his lyrics, and I feel like that's the reason that a lot of people relate to some of his lyrics. That's just my opinion. Some of the songs are a little more oriented around like guitars. Some of them are straight up like dance tracks, like Essence, and then some of them are straight up hip hop songs like Fairweather Friends. I thought that it had a really nice balance of all of those. My biggest critique of the album is I feel like it did feel a little bit derivative at times, which I feel like a lot of modern music is starting to sound like that. And that's okay, it is what it is. I wasn't going into this expecting to hear Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band or something like that. It's fun, definitely really, really catchy, but I did feel like it got a little derivative at times. The chord progressions of a lot of the songs with guitars, I could pick up and play along with, which is totally fine. Like I said, this isn't meant to be, the most intricate, jazz, prog metal album. That's not what this is. Like I said, as a new fan of Oliver Tree, I haven't memorized his entire catalog and all that, so I'm not really sure, what his typical sound is. It doesn't seem like he has one. But I was interested in some of the tracks later in the album that almost had an Owl City vibe to him. Poppy keyboards and all that kind of stuff. Really catchy lyric, just like making a soundscape out of, like boppy keyboards. That's the only way I really know how to describe it. But I really like that. I feel like it makes for great, catchy music that can be played, pretty much anywhere. I feel like it's something that I'd be hearing while walking in the grocery store. And, that's a blessing and a curse in a sense. But nonetheless, I did enjoy it. And Oliver Tree is much more than just the music. I think that he has a really interesting and really clever way of, juxtaposing simpler music and the catchy stuff with still like it being a multimedia experience. It's stuff that you could hear in passing in the grocery store, or it's stuff that you could pay money to go see live. And I think that both of those have, their merits and have their positives and negatives. I would love to see an Oliver Tree show. I think that he's a fascinating character, and I love the performance art and the multimedia experience that is Oliver Tree, with the music and the YouTube videos and the stunts and his live shows. And I really like the culmination of all of it, and I just really like what Oliver Tree is doing as a whole. I think that his satire of like the modern capitalist era and the absurdism of all of it is cool, and I don't know if that's intended or not, but I think that the absurdism and the way that he's able to do that in his own way is perfect, and I think that the music video and just the lyrics for Fairweather Friends are a really good example of that. All in all, I give this 7.5 out of 10 enormous razor scooters. That's 7.5 out of 10 stars for the uninitiated. My favorite tracks on this album were Ugly Side, Fairweather Friends, Essence, Invisible Man, and Strangers. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please take a second to click the like button. And if you like any kind of content about film, music, or culture, to click the subscribe button. You can always unsubscribe at any time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.